Welcome to the July the 7th, 1986 taping. And we're just so pleased to have two very important guests with us today. But before we bring those to you, we have a couple of community service announcements that we know that you just want to know about. This week, the Grand Prairie ISD Board meets, and that is on July the 10th. This is Monday that we're taping this show, and on Thursday they'll be meeting at 202 College Street. The time of the meeting is 8 p.m. This is open to the public, and if you would like to attend this meeting, remember to mark your calendar for July the 10th, 8 o'clock p.m. at the School Administration Building, 202 College Street. Next, this is the week that our very own Stephanie Simone will be competing in the Miss Texas pageant in Fort Worth. Remember to drop her a note if you would like to, or call Fort Worth, the Ramada Inn Central, and leave her a note and encourage Stephanie. She'll be entering competition on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and then the finals will be on Saturday evening. This is the week of July 9th, 10th, 11th, and on July the 12th is the magic date of the finals. And if you're not able to go to Fort Worth to see the competition in real life, please tune in to Channel 5 at 8 p.m. on July the 12th. And we're crossing our fingers, and we just know our very own Miss Grand Prairie, Stephanie Simone, will be one of the finalists. Remember your Grand Prairie Sesquicentennial calendar. It's very important if you want to get this piece of memorabilia. Remember that Joe Campbell and Jan Barrett are handling these calendars. These are very beautiful and have scenes of Grand Prairie, Texas on the calendar. Call Jan Barrett at 262-7923 and Joe Campbell at 264-1609. These are some of the magic things that we had to tell you about today. And now to our two guests. It's so wonderful to have two fine gentlemen with us today. Eddie Adkins, I believe this is the first time you've been on It's Happening in Grand Prairie.
That is true.
Wonderful. We'd like to welcome you.
Thank you.
And Maurice Haregrove, a retired principal from the Grand Prairie ISD, a very fine educator, but now retired. And I believe you're mixed up in the Toastmasters in a degree, Maurice.
A little bit, yes.
Wonderful. Well, now that the Toastmasters have come full circle back to Grand Prairie, because I believe in the past we had that wonderful organization here, you're the president.
President, yes.
President?
For 6 months.
For 6 months.
We have 6
All
months
right.
periods.
You have 6
Yes.
months periods for presidents of the
Right,
Toastmasters.
all the officers.
All right.
Change every 6
Tell
months.
us a little bit about your role in getting it organized, and in a minute we'll get to Eddie and let him tell about his experience with the Arlington group. Would you do that?
Well, I was talking with a couple of gentlemen who had been Toastmasters before here in Grand Prairie, and said he'd like to see a new club organized. And I heard that Eddie Adkins here had a member of the Arlington Club, and I called him. We began moving around and seeing people, and we have established a club, and it has been chartered, and we did it in a very short period of time. I don't remember, Eddie, when our first meeting was in my house, but we met 6 of us, I believe, and then from there we took it out to the community. We expect in September and October to expand our membership by another 75%.
Wonderful. All right, now Eddie, with your experience into Toastmasters, we know that you're located on Main Street at a wonderful CPA spot right across from the place where the Grand Prairie Daily News used to be. And you were president in Arlington. How did you get this affiliation with the Arlington group?
Some time ago, I joined the Arlington group in the early 70s and joined it and was a member for long enough to be one of all the officers, or served as each capacity as officer in that club. And then I dropped out for a period of years, and then I rejoined. And when I rejoined, I had the intentions of helping Grand Prairie get a club started, and now it's finally materialized.
Well, wonderful. We're just so glad that you would put this much time into the community of Grand Prairie and know that you work every day here. And now I believe that the place you work is the Fred B. Bryan Company, or
Right.
does it have another name now?
It's Fred B. Bryan and Associates.
And Associates. Wonderful. Now, Maurice, when you called on Eddie to help you do this, you said you had about 6 people. Were these all fellas, or is this mixed company for Toastmasters?
It is mixed company for membership, but our initial meeting was composed of males only, but that was not by design. I knew of 6 people whom I needed to contact and who would go out in the community and work, including our incoming, I believe, District Governor Boyd Metz. He met with us in my study, and we got going with it, and had a meeting about a week later. We've had several meetings now. The Arlington Club has helped us, has provided some of the speakers and critics, etc. And I think we're ready to move on our own. We have a program scheduled for this Thursday, which will be, I think, our first full-fledged Grand Prairie Toastmasters Club.
All right,
without
now,
the others.
if you're going to meet this Thursday, and I believe that would be July the 10th, if we're counting our
Yes.
dates correctly, where will you meet, and what time will you meet, and would this be open to the public, anyone that could come in?
Yes, ma'am, it certainly is.
All
And
right.
as I said, it is not co-ed, and we meet at K-Bob's Restaurant on Highway 303
All right.
at 7 p.m. every Thursday evening. The public is invited.
All right, now, Eddie, what would your role be with the Grand Prairie Club? Or were you just there to help them get organized, or do you now accept some responsibility in this brand-new club that you helped to father, so to speak?
I am a member of the club. I'm also the educational vice president of the club, so I intend to be an active member.
All right, now, y'all are going to have to tell me more about the Toastmasters, why you organize, what you do, and you mentioned some of these people that would be assigned to grading you, the speakers. Tell us a little, which one of y'all want to tell me about that?
Well, that's an integral part of our
All right.
Toastmasters.
Tell us what it's about,
The
Maurice.
speakers and the evaluators, and then the on-the-spot speeches. Now, we have 3 different aspects of this. We have what we call table topics.
All right.
All right, we go in there, and the table topics master of the evening will call on someone in the group to stand on his feet or her feet and speak for a minute and a half on something that they didn't anticipate. Just get on your feet and think on your feet and express yourself.
Now, your topics master gives them a subject then.
He does on the spot.
All
Now,
right.
that we may have a couple of minutes of warning before they're actually called on, but not much warning. And this is important, even though they speak for only a minute and a half or maybe 2 minutes.
Just like cold turkey, you would
Yes.
say, Ruthie Jackson, will you please speak on the environment?
Right. It's usually some issue that is relevant to us in our nation, our state, or our community.
Now, in your program, how long does this take place, till everyone has spoken, or do you just choose a certain
No,
number
they
of
choose
members?
2 or 3 usually.
All right.
And then we have our regular speakers who speak for up to 6 minutes on a topic that is announced ahead of time. Then we have, after that person speaks, we usually have 2 or 3 speakers in the evening. Then our critic, or we call him the evaluator, then we have an evaluator for each speaker. And so that speaker is critiqued thoroughly before we leave the meeting that night, that evening.
In other words, if a person wants to be a real good Toastmaster, they come to your club knowing full well that there's going to be someone to evaluate them, do a critique on their presentation, and their feelings won't be hurt regardless.
Right.
Where do you get the people that do the critiquing?
Well, we select those from the membership.
All right.
And that is another aspect of communications. We learn to be critics, and we learn to be criticized. So it is a well-rounded, the best program I have ever seen for making a public speaker of someone. Now, I had 2 sessions when I was in the pharmaceutical industry, and by the former head of the Department of Speech at the University of Minnesota, that did not even compare to what I have learned from Toastmasters. No speechcraft course that I'm familiar with is as effective as Toastmasters International because of this 3-pronged approach to our public speaking.
All right, now Eddie, as the educational vice president, what will your role be in the coming 6 months, say?
The educational vice president primarily schedules the speakers, schedules each aspect of the meeting, and sees that everyone has an opportunity to participate in the meeting sometime during a month or 2 months or whatever period of time that they're scheduled for. And it's primarily to see that each person makes a record of what he has accomplished during that period of time, and to see that they have the opportunities during that time.
All right, now, do you do this alone, or do you have a committee helping you to do this?
It's alone.
It's alone right now. Do you plan to expand, and as Education Committee, maybe have an assistant or a vice president, say that you got transferred to Carswell Air Force Base or something else? Do you have someone that's following in your footsteps?
Not at the present time. We'll probably train some people this next meeting and have several people who are capable of doing that job.
Yes, our next meeting will be an educational meeting. We'll have people from other clubs, and we're going to sit down and go over all of the aspects of speechcraft.
And then make your planning session so that when September gets here, you're ready to go
Right,
full
right,
speed
right.
ahead.
Yes.
All right, now, Maurice, what would be your goals for, say, September? How many members can you all handle comfortably at a session such as this? Or by having them weekly, do you just kind of alternate?
Well, we believe the optimum, and I think Eddie will agree with me, is 40 members. A good club of 40 members with an anticipated average attendance of, say, 20 to 25 members. And that way we can give each person in the club some experience, either as a critic or as a speaker or as one of the table topics people who has to stand up and think on his feet or her feet.
All right. Now, Eddie, does it cost me money to come to this? Do I buy my food? How much are the dues for Toastmasters and et cetera? We have about 1 minute, so you help me wrap this.
Okay. The initial dues for Toastmasters is $36.
Is that for 6
$36
months?
for 6 months.
All right.
After that period of time, it's $24 per 6 months. The initial $6 is so that you can order your supplies from Toastmasters International, which is the manuals that we have,
All right.
and the other supplies. After that, then it's the $24 per 6 months, as I said, and the meals each week. For right now, it's ordering from the menu. We intend to have special menus drawn up each week after this, and I believe the restaurant has agreed to have $6 per meal.
And along with the fee that I would pay to come to be a member of Toastmasters, then I would get a communication and leadership program book such as this?
Yes, that is the first manual that you would get.
And then how long do I keep this before I graduate to a little higher level?
You can take as long as you want. If you want to do it in a hurry, of course there's 10 projects in that particular manual, so it would take you at least 10 weeks to complete it if you wanted to speak every week. But generally, most people can't speak every week because there's other things that they're involved in. And two, if you spoke every week, that's making someone else not be able to speak that week, perhaps. So generally, they expect you to complete that within a year's time.
All right, Maurice, 1 second to look out into your camera and invite everyone in Grand Prairie to come to the next meeting. Tell them when, where, and the time, and tell them you need them in Toastmasters.
Ruthie, I will. We meet at 7 p.m. at K-Bob's on Highway 303. Everyone is invited, male or female. It is a co-ed club. I will assure you that if you need some improvement in your ability to speak, that this will give you that expertise.
Thank you. Thank you, Maurice. Thank you, Eddie, very much for being with us, and thank you for the time.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All right.
Ruthie. Good to see you again.
And we'll be right back. Welcome to the wonderful world of scholarship. A television scholarship, that is, Store Cable TV, and it's happening in Grand Prairie. We're just so delighted today to introduce the young man from Store Cable that is responsible for helping us to raise funds for 2 important scholarships. Welcome, Mr. John Kemp.
Thank you,
Sit.
Ruthie. It's a pleasure to be here.
Wonderful. And we're proud of Store Cable TV. And would you tell us a little bit about Store and your involvement in the scholarship? This is your...
Well, STORE is involved for the second year in helping to fund this scholarship. We increased our contribution this year. We're getting ready to do the budget process for next year, and that will include a further increase. it's very apparent to us in Grand Prairie and to the company the importance of education. And having had to work my way through college, I know how important it is to get a little financial help now and then. So it's with pleasure that I give you our contribution, and please congratulate the recipients for us.
Wonderful. And I believe you are the only one of the company in the store family that is doing this scholarship?
As far as we know, we're the only operation that is doing this, and we're doing it in Grand Prairie alone.
Wonderful. And Mr. Camp, we'd like to thank you and let you know that we have chosen the recipients, and Mr. Chris Wilson and Janelle Rios of the South Grand Prairie High School television class under the direction of Miss Billy Donegan were the recipients, and we're so pleased that they have sent this little card, and I'd like for you to hold it up and see if we can get that on camera. It says, "Thanks from the GPISD TV Kids," and this is a hand-drawn caricature of all of the kids that work in the program, and I thought that was a very exciting little thank you note that came from them, and we'd like for you to know that everyone that appears on our show has the opportunity to put 25 cents into our scholarship jar.
That's great.
And we have other contributors that contribute along the way, and we're trying to match your funds, Mr. Camp. We want to thank you for helping us with a very splendid scholarship.
You're quite welcome. It's
And
a pleasure.
Thank you for being on our PSA.
Thank you.
And Fiddler on the Roof is the name of the game today. And we have 3 very important cast members today. We're just so pleased, Susan Sisney, to bring you back to It's Happening.
Well, I'm glad to be here.
Wonderful, and I see that you're all right and ready to go in a brand new musical. You want to tell us your role in it and a little bit about that?
Well, this year I'm on stage, and this is something we've never done before. I think maybe we may never do it again. But this year we're doing Fiddler on the Roof. I play Yenta. I'm a matchmaker. Do we have matchmakers here in Grand Prairie?
We should have.
We should have. Well, the story is sort of about my business. I make matches in a small Russian village of Anatevka. And I have one client who has 5 lovely daughters that we've got to find husbands for. And this is a story. I have the father and how he gets along with these daughters and how we find husbands for these daughters and all the different people in the village. It's a lots of fun. Oh, you've still got 2 granddaughters, don't you?
Yes, I do.
They're almost to that age, aren't they?
Yes, I may be needing your services one of these days.
I've got 2 boys right now. Well, they're a little young, but they'll grow. But you won't have anything to worry about later. I'll come to the show. I'll let you look at them backstage, and you can pick something out nice for the girls. Okay?
All right.
This is one of my clients' daughters.
Yes.
This is Hava. This is Reb Tevia's daughter.
I see.
And she's... Tell Ruthie, darling, what's going on in Anatevka this week?
Karen Sisney, I know that you're into this role with your mother as Yenta and your father as involved as he can be in directing, I believe. Tell us about your role.
Well, in this, my father in the play disowns me. To him, I'm dead. I run off with a Russian, which is very much against our faith.
I see.
And
who is your father in the show?
Tevye, played by John Holland.
Tevye, played by John Holland. All right, now that gets us to David Galvin. David Galvin, as the past president of the Grand Prairie Community Theater and all of this good stuff, how did you get really involved in this Fiddler on the Roof?
We ran out of men.
We ran out of men. I knew that that would be a good stock answer. Tell us about your role, would you?
This is probably the smallest role I've ever done here. I'm on 3 times in the show, never opened my mouth once. I play fiddle at the beginning of the show, make a brief appearance during a dream before the end of the first act, and I appear right at the end of the show where I disappear off, where I get the impression that everyone's left me behind. But I'm beckoned on by Tevye, and as we move on to new lands at the end of the show. But that would be giving away part of the show. Best thing for you to do is come see the show, come enjoy the experience with us. It's a wonderful show. Everybody in the show is doing a wonderful job of bringing all these different characters to life.
All right, now Fiddler on the Roof, we have a little placard down here giving all of the times and the dates and everything, but I think that everyone would pay closer attention if you would just tell us when you're performing, where, and the times, and the excitement of supporting the Grand Prairie Community Theater, that all of the producers, the directors, the stage hands, all of the actors are volunteers.
That is correct.
All right.
None of us in the theater are paid. It is strictly volunteer theater. We are amateurs in the truest form of the word. Amateur deriving from the word meaning to love, one who loves. We do it for the love of theater. We have been doing this now for 6 years. We will be doing this show, opening this Friday at 8 o'clock
All
Saturday.
right, now that Friday is the 11th
Yes, ma'am.
of July.
Yes,
All
ma'am.
right.
Friday the 11th, Saturday the 12th, and Sunday afternoon matinee on both Sundays. This is a 2-weekend run.
A 2-weekend run,
Yes,
all
ma'am.
right.
We begin on the 11th, 12th and 13th, 18th, 19th, and 20th.
All right.
Tickets for these performances are $7.50 for adults, $5 for students.
All right, now you have not told us the magic location of the Grand Prairie Community Theater, a place where, for the first time in the history of the Grand Prairie Community Theater, you've gotten to give more than one performance continuously at the same site, because you've been skipping around town. You've been to the high school auditorium, to Mr. Keel's Theater, also to the City Hall complex. Tell us a little bit about the site of this special
Various
event.
churches, any place we can find a space.
Any place. All right.
We are now at 310 Northeast 8th Street, which is at the intersection of Northeast 8th and Small Hill. This is a facility that we are now using that is working very well for the space. We're still in the process of remodeling, doing some renovations, getting everything ready so you will be as comfortable as possible to make your seeing the show as enjoyable as possible, make it as comfortable as possible. It's working very well for us because finally we're getting a chance to rehearse an entire show in one location, because it does present problems whenever you rehearse in one location and move everything to another location to put it on, because normally there's a difference in space which throws timing off, which can get very technical and present problems whenever we get ready to try and make a show click and work like it's happening the first time. Even though we've run through it several times, we begin to run into glitches like that, but we don't have this problem working in the same space. And we feel very fortunate with the space that we have.
Wonderful. Now, Susan Sisney, as the president of the Grand Prairie Community Theater, backed up by your husband, John Sisney,
Right.
and evaluated and assisted by your daughter, Karen.
Right.
Tell us your role as the president of the Grand Prairie Community Theater and how outstanding it's been to see the progress you've made.
This year has been great. It's been new challenges, everything is in transition, and it's growing. And it's so nice to have a community theater and be head of one that is so open to all the new people that are coming into Grand Prairie. Again, we have over 50% new people on stage again this year, which stays with our policy of getting all new citizens on stage. And we have been growing as not in just our programs. We've had now 2 children's programs that we do with the Parks and Recreation. We've done the first program that was last week, and then we have another session of classes in August. We are starting adult education classes in September, and that will be coming out in our next newsletter, exactly when we're going to be having acting classes for adults that have never tried it before, because this is where to try it, because everybody is truly an amateur. And bringing these programs to fruition, finding a stable area for us to have a place. It's just been a great year, and I have a wonderful, wonderful executive committee, and everybody takes their projects and just runs with them. It's wonderful.
All right, tell me who is producing and who is directing. I know you'll want a name drop and maybe someone that's doing the makeup or name drop a little for
Okay,
us.
I'll name drop for you. Margaret Edwards is our producer this year.
All right.
And John, my husband, is directing. We have as assistant director Joanne Lester, and our stage manager's newcomer this year, Janice Sinclair, has come in to be our stage manager. Betty Crabb, and we have some new people in on makeup. We have a girl that has come in, just taken over and done a beautiful job on costumes, Marion Franklin.
Oh, great.
And these people backstage are, as nientes are such jewels. Because
Wonderful.
you never see them, and all you do is see their magic, and it looks like it just happens. Diane Booth is doing props for us again this year. And again, you say, what do you want? She says, oh, I said, this is a real rough one. She's about an hour, she calls back, I've got it. And you go, Diane, how do you do it every year? We always give you the wildest list. It's like going for a scavenger hunt around Grand Prairie.
How about your set direction?
I was doing
building
sets.
the sets.
Well,
That's mostly
Everyone.
us.
that's us. That's us.
All of you all are
Right.
the cast.
The
does
cast
that.
is
How
coming to the
wonderful!
sets. Bryn Brazelton has been doing a lot of our painting for us this year,
Mm-hmm.
but all of us have been down there working on the sets together. This has been such a wonderful cast. They come down on Saturdays, they'll either be washing chairs, scrubbing floors, building, painting, whatever needs to be done. We just put the list up, and all of a sudden it's wonderful to see those check marks come off that it's been done. And that's what the true community is in community theater, and it's great.
Wonderful. Karen, we're going to let you look out into your camera and invite everyone in Grand Prairie, Texas to this very special performance and tell them how exciting it'll be if they'll come and spend this time with the Grand Prairie Community Theater actors.
I'd like to invite everyone to come and see Fiddler on the Roof, opening this Friday, July 11th, 12th, and 13th, and the following weekend, the 18th, 19th, and 20th. On the Friday and Saturday nights, they begin at 8 o'clock and Sunday matinee. $7.50 for adults and $5 for senior citizens and children. See you there.
Wonderful. All right, now let's go back to Susan a moment. Susan, I know that you and John are just engulfed in this, and I know why, but maybe the people out in video land don't know, and we have 1 minute to wrap up. Tell them what you and John do for a living and why this is near and dear to you.
Okay. John and I teach theater arts here in Grand Prairie, and we feel that theater arts should be in our community, and it shouldn't just be in the schools. That culture to a city is so important because it increases the quality of life of all of our citizens. And since we are the people that do theater arts, this is our part of our community service to our community, that we need theater.
Wonderful. Well, I want to thank you and John very much, Susan, because you've been real stem winders in the Grand Prairie Community Theater. And Karen, who is part of our television complement here at Storer and at South Grand Prairie High, and David Galvine, because you've been president, you're just so wonderful that you'll take any part in this. I want to thank y'all all three for being on the show.
Thank
and
you
we
for
look
having
forward to seeing you Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and maybe at the special premiere. I believe I got a ticket to that, and we're going to look forward to seeing this production. And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you, and would you all join me? It's happening